Today on the Engage with Tech podcast, we're going to be talking to Georgia Copp-Barton, who's CEO of Verve. Verve is a startup supplement company which was founded in 2023. We're going to be talking to Georgia about how she went from consultant to CEO and the sort of advice that she'd give to fellow candidates looking to step up in their own career. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey Georgia, it's great to have you on the Engage with Tech podcast today. How you doing?
I'm really well, thank you, Callum. Really well, excited to be here.
Good. So, if we jump straight into it then, Verve, a supplement company, startup, founded in 2023, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
What was the actual inspiration behind the creation of Verve then? Because it's a spin-off from My Protein, right?
Not really a spin-off, but the original founder. So our founder, Oliver Cookson, started My Protein way back when, so 20 years ago, before it got sold to the Hut Group. So the very original brand, and obviously, you know, they really made segues into that space, especially in the sports nutrition world. Oliver, our founder, Verve's founder, has a passion for health and wellness products, right? And breathes them. Over lockdown, he was actually making his own greens drink. So he was compiling lots of vitamins, supplements, minerals, superfoods into a smoothie every morning. And realised actually that nothing existed on the market in terms of what he wanted and what he was taking himself. So hence came Verve, really. We started as a greens brand. We launched in October 2023, so we're still a baby as a business, which is very exciting. And really, we've grown from then. So we started as a greens brand, as I said. We're now a health and wellness brand. We're all about optimizing your everyday. So we're about providing complete wellness solutions. So that's from greens for health and wellness. We've got a beauty powder, which is full of all the good stuff across collagen, probiotics, retinol astaxanthin. We cover sleep. We've got a mushroom powder for stress management, energy and cortisol reduction. And then we have lots of single serve supplements for people who want to try it out before they go into the full blend.
Sure. So a wide variety of stuff then.
Correct.
So this is a sort of industry that is growing year on year, and it's becoming essentially really quite saturated. But how do you actually see the industry evolving then within the next 5 years? Because it's evolved since 2023 a lot.
Yeah, so I think people want that flexibility and autonomy to do health at home, really. You know, everybody wants to live better, live longer, and they want to take control of their health. So I think, you know, we're trying to move in that direction. For us as a brand, we are super transparent. So we're very transparent about all the ingredients in our products. Most brands aren't. I'd actually say 80% are not. They hide behind what we call proprietary blends. So I think customers get the freedom and the security that actually what we say we're going to do is on the back of the pouch. They can see the ingredients and the inclusion levels, and they will have a direct benefit on your health if you obviously take it habitually, like anything, right? So I think, you know, just back to your question, customers and generally consumers want to take the power into their own hands, and it is about health at home. They want to live longer and they want to live better lives. So that's kind of where I see the industry evolving.
Yeah, I think that reliability that you're getting the substance that is actually on the packaging is such a big thing nowadays. I saw a stat the other day, I think it was like 25% of protein supplements don't actually have the right amount of protein that they're telling you they have, right? It's one of those really big issues. Okay, so beyond revenue then for Verve, what do you reckon success looks like?
So success for me, you know, I want to become a leading community-led storytelling health and wellness brand that people really connect with, right? We know we've got best-in-class products. We're science-backed. We've got founder pedigree. You know, I've got a great team of scientists around me who help develop the products with myself and Oliver. I think for me, success looks like being an industry leader in this space, right? I also think it's about complete wellness. It's a very confusing market. You know, consumers need educating, and I want to take customers on that journey with us to complete wellness. So you can wake up and have a greens powder, maybe mix with some beauty collagen. You know, in the afternoon you might have mushrooms instead of a coffee to give you that afternoon pick-me-up and help with stress management. And then in the evening you've got the sleep product to help you get to sleep, right, which is full of magnesium. So I think it's having that almost one-stop shop wellness solution for me and making it really simple and habitual for our consumers.
Yeah, I think what stands out for me from what you've said there is the idea of storytelling. Is being able to connect with the consumer at those the whole journey throughout their day, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it's being the number one brand for that. I get that completely. So as we've mentioned, the supplement industry is evolving at a fast rate, and it's becoming really quite saturated. What do you think makes Verve stand out from the crowd?
I think there's a couple of things that really scream out to me. Transparency is key. It's our main USP. We are fully transparent about everything in our products, and the inclusion values are huge, right? So, as you say, some of the more budget brands, they don't include enough of each ingredient to actually make any difference to your health. It's effectively a bit of a waste of money. We include as much as possible. So, for example, the V80 powder, it's got 100% of your natural daily intake across all vitamins and minerals. It's full of things like superfoods, it's full of all your mushrooms, it's full of ashwagandha. Now, we put as much in as we possibly can get in, obviously nothing wasteful. So I think for me, it's those high inclusion values, it's highly bioavailable, and we're transparent about that. So you know exactly what you're putting in your body. That is the key thing for me. I also think we've got founder pedigree, with Oliver's experience and background and having grown such a similar business beforehand.
Yeah.
We do have that expertise available to us. And he's also really invested in creating uber premium products at an accessible price point. We want to be available for everybody. And then probably finally, it's the backed by science piece. So as I said, we do work with a range of nutritionists, scientists to help develop the blends. What we say is on the tin is in the tin, effectively. And I think that's quite powerful.
I really want to get into the idea of storytelling, because is that how you cut through the noise of such a saturated market then?
Yeah, totally. I'd say so. I think it's being, you can't be everything to all men. So I think it's sort of storytelling around the brand. It's about creating an emotional connection. It's not just about getting attention. We obsess about our community. We're obsessed with creating great content that connects to different demographics, whilst also being very specific, right? And we want to create experiences that really resonate deeply with our consumers. And we want to show up with a clear point of view, even if it isn't for everyone. We're quite open about that as well. I think, cutting through the noise in a saturated market is not just about chasing trends. It's about owning your own lane and doubling down on what makes you different. And we're constantly trying to do that with Verve.
Definitely. And I agree with that. It's by finding your right consumer, you do actually find who doesn't like your brand as well, right? That's the main idea behind marketing is you're targeting a specific market.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about the lessons behind actually being a CEO of a startup. What's been the hardest part of building this brand in this space so far?
Oh, very tough question, right? This space is moving and evolving very, very quickly, and especially with developments in AI, it's moving even quicker, right? I think everybody's trying to sort of compete for noise and create new and better supplements. So I think there's a constant pressure to adapt and be visible. And, I want to build something with real depth, right? So it's about brand trust, it's about community, it's about product market fit, but it takes time. So I think for me, it's managing that pace versus doing things properly, thoroughly, and connecting with our audience in the right way. It's also very easy to get distracted by noise or comparisons, right? So I think it's staying focused, blocking out the hype, and having the conviction to play the long game, as well as being reactive in the space.
Yeah. How would you say you block out the hype? How do you find the difference between, say, a trend and a genuine route to what you want to find for the brand?
I think for me, a trend is something that you might react to on socials or, via marketing, and it might be something we can turn on quite quickly. I think for me, it's understanding like biohacking is becoming a trend that's becoming quite big, things like longevity and like living longer. They're the long-term goals that we need to be striving towards, and that's a more long-term play. I think the more reactive stuff is really fun and you can activate it quite quickly, but you just need to balance that, right?
Yeah, sure. And if you could go back to day one, which is not even that long ago, but what's one thing that you would do differently to what you did?
If I can do two things, it would
Do
probably
two things, yeah. I'll allow you to.
protect focus. So I'd say at the moment, well, sorry, at the very beginning, there was all these, fantastic opportunities around, and I probably chased too many of them, in my opinion. If I was to do it again, I'd be more ruthless and prioritise and just focus on like the one or two major things that shift the dial. We have a very small team, and it can be quite hectic sometimes, which is a really fun environment to be in as a startup. But I think, it's prioritising what actually moves the needle for me, so protecting that focus. And then also it's about progress, not perfection. I am a perfectionist, but in the startup environment and this scale-up world, you've kind of got to be 70-80% there and then just roll with it and then learn as you go. We're constantly testing and learning, we're very agile. It's never going to be perfect, and neither should it be, because you learn your lessons along the way, at using that approach effectively.
And what would you say are those couple of things that move the dial, that create the biggest production?
I think product is really key. Innovation, constantly innovating and making products that really work is key. What else shifts the dial? I think understanding your audience and building a community around the brand and storytelling, I think for me is a really critical thing, right? I know the products are great and I want to connect organically with consumers with that message. It's not about a hard sell. It's about people's health and education.
Yeah. And when you're building a brand then, what do you think you most underestimated when you were starting out with Verve?
I'd say it's all about how you communicate the brand, right? So it's how you show up. It's not just how you look.
Yeah.
In terms of brand, right, it's what people think when you're not communicating to them. You want to sit in their hearts and minds and really resonate with them. So it's actually, that's where brand is key. It's not about me telling you about the brand now. It's about how you think about my brand when you're not around, right? Or when we're not constantly communicating with you.
It's that lasting effect that you want as a brand and you want your consumer to feel, right?
Totally.
What's a branding decision that you potentially regret, if any?
We probably tried to do too much at once or at the beginning. I think we tried to appeal to everyone, because when you talk about wellness, like the greens powder, for example, it actually can support a very wide demographic.
Yeah.
It has so many benefits. The product's got over 200 health and wellness benefits, right? So, there's lots of different demographics that would look at it differently. I think given, where we were with budgets and the team size, we just needed to pick one demographic or a couple of demographics or personality types to go after. So I probably would have done that slightly differently at the beginning. And also the tone was probably a bit safe. We needed to shout a bit louder, but we started doing that a long time ago. But we're talking about when we first started, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, how would you target differently?
We scaled it right back. So we looked at personalities, right? So I think, we have a very specific demographic. It's a bit of a younger demographic. It's not saying the older demographic aren't interested in the product, but we can't market to everybody, right? So we scaled that right back. Initially, we were primarily male. We've now more 50-50 split because of the beauty product. So I think introduction of new products as well, and the wideness across category does introduce new demographics. But we've narrowed that right back, which is really fun.
Sure. And what's the biggest thing you've learned about branding then?
It's a bit similar to what I said, really. Branding is about how people remember you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
And it's about having clarity, consistency, and conviction. So once you're really clear on that brand, it's sticking to it and having clear conviction against that.
And then if we were to delve into what you've learned as a CEO then, because this is your first position as CEO, right? So you're a senior consultant and then step straight up into CEO. What's been the hardest thing for you personally?
Personally, I'm a perfectionist, as I've said. I think realising that I had to move from doing to leading. So, I have a tendency, I get involved in stuff, I'm really interested, but actually where my power is like, I love the phrase, you stand on the shoulders of giants, and that's, what I try and lean into with my team. They are the team of experts, and then they need leading in a direction.
Sure.
as opposed to me getting involved in the doing. Obviously, I'm there to support and help and advise. But yeah, I'd say moving from doing to leading was the
And
biggest.
what's the biggest thing you've learned as a leader?
What's the biggest thing I've learned as a leader?
Well,
Setting the vision and owning the vision and making hard calls, but then empowering others to enable you to deliver that vision.
love that.
Yeah, that's a key
Yeah,
thing.
I love that. And what advice would you give to someone potentially as a senior consultant looking to step up into a bigger role like CEO, or someone, just starting off? What advice would you give?
Stop waiting to be ready. I think you've just got to go for it. If you've got a dream, go for it. What's the worst that can happen? I think if you're passionate about something, you put your all into it. Generally, it will work out. Maybe not the first time, but you try and you try and you try again. It's all
Yeah.
about progress, not perfection. Show initiative, take ownership, and put your heart and soul into it.
I love that so much. It's about giving the 80% every day, but reiterating the process and making it better every day, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Georgia. It's been brilliant to chat.
No problem.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, Callum. Bye.